Hey everybody, it's Jade back here again for a brand new video, and in today's video we're going to be covering some exclusives about Jeff Davis's brand new series Wolfpack, coming to Paramount Plus in January 2023. We're going to be covering basically an interview that Paramount Plus had with Jeff and the cast, as well as Sarah Michelle Gellar and a couple of the new cast members that were announced. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but you guys will probably end up correcting me anyway in the comments, so that's perfectly fine. So yeah, if you guys are ready for today's video, I know I don't usually talk about Wolfpack on the channel, but I want to start talking about it more because the more I see and hear from Wolfpack, the more the series interests me, and I'm definitely going to be checking it out and doing a spoiler-free review as well as a spoiler review on this channel for the series when it comes out in a couple of months. So stay tuned for that, and if you want to stay tuned and keep up to date with all the other news regarding Wolfpack and Teen Wolf the movie, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And how you guys do that is you guys have to subscribe, turn on post notifications, hit that bell icon, set notifications to all so that you never miss a future upload from me. But before we hop into the video, a few announcements. If you guys are not already aware, my book series True Alpha, which is primarily inspired by Teen Wolf on top of a bunch of other things, has been out for the better part of the last 3 weeks on my Patreon. Link to that will be in the description down below. You guys can click that and subscribe to either the beta or alpha tiers if you want to catch chapter 1 before chapter 2 drops on October 7th, 2022. Also in the description is my Discord, so if you guys want to join the Discord server, link to that will also be in the description down below, as well as my merch store. If you guys want to cop some merch, represent the channel, show a little bit extra support to the channel, you guys can go and cop yourself some merch from the merch store as well. Also, this video is sponsored by the wonderful guys over at Movie Palette. Have you ever wanted some cool abstract art to display on your wall that represents some of your favorite movies of all time? Well, the guys over at Movie Palette definitely have you covered. With Movie Palette, you guys can choose any abstract art that represents some of your favorite movies of all time. The Movie Palette that I have represents my personal favorite film of all time, the amazing Spider-Man starring Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, of course. Use the code JADE15 in the description to get 15% off your next product, whichever Movie Palette you choose to buy on their website. And once again, shout out to the guys over at Movie Palette for sponsoring this video. And with that all said, let's continue on with the main topic of the video. So I caught a couple of screenshots from Twitter because it was a long Twitter thread and I didn't feel like, you know, having the whole Twitter thread up and then having to, it was just a whole process, right? So I took individual screenshots. We're gonna go screenshot by screenshot. They will be on screen as I'm reading them, so you'll know which screenshots I'm talking about. This interview was done a couple of days ago, so we're a couple of days late on this news, but better to cover it now than to cover it later when it's irrelevant and we learn more stuff. So yeah, first little quote is actually a Jeff Davis one. So Jeff Davis says, in quote, "I love writing stories about families and broken families, especially families that are put together, those found families." Now, I'm not really sure what he means by found families, but obviously Jeff, well known for writing stories about, you know, packs and families with Teen Wolf, obviously, in Criminal Minds. Never seen Criminal Minds, so it might be a little different with that, but with Teen Wolf especially, he's very, very experienced with writing that, or writing that type of stuff. So I'm not surprised that he kind of made Wolfpack, at least the foundation of it, kind of the same as Teen Wolf a little bit. So next quote we have here is from Sarah Michelle Gellar herself. She says, "I told Jeff when I signed on I would do all my own stunts," which is pretty cool if you ask me. Sarah Michelle Gellar, of course, played Buffy from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, an absolute badass. I'm really glad she's part of this show. In my honest opinion, it's one of the reasons why I want to watch, because I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. So yeah, but I will not do prosthetics. I don't want to sit through that. No one wants to sit through that. So yeah, I think she's talking about when Jeff first came to her for Wolfpack, right? I think Jeff's initial pitch was that she was probably going to play a supernatural, most likely a werewolf, but Sarah didn't want to do that. Obviously, you know, with her quote, she didn't want to sit through all that makeup, so that's why her character is a human now instead of what I guess the original pitch might have been, for her to be a werewolf. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice to know a little bit of information on that. The next question is, why do you always have a Tyler in your shows? And then Jeff Davis answers, actually, when Sarah Michelle Gellar joined, I told her her name is Sarah Tyler Gellar now, which is kind of funny if you ask me, because there's a running joke with Jeff always having to have a Tyler in the show. Obviously, if you know the running joke, it's from Teen Wolf, where he has Tyler Posey and Tyler Hoechlin. So yeah. Next question is it's not one that concerns me, but it's one that kind of has me on the fence, just based on, you know, everything that's been going on with Hollywood and the media and that's going on. I'm not really sure how to take this. So yeah, the next one is, in quote, the gay characters on the show will have relationships and scenes every bit as important as the straight couples. It's going to be equal. I'm very happy to be able to do that on streaming and talk about those more adult stories. So this can go one of two ways, right? Jeff can, like, obviously no one has a problem with gay characters, right? Unless you're actually homophobic. So Jeff can write the characters, because as we learn in a couple of quotes later, one of the main characters, Tyler Lawrence Gray's character, is gay. They can either make that relationship and, you know, his sexuality a background thing and just have people like the character for the character and not because he's gay, which is a problem a lot of people, and not a lot of people, but like a lot of these studios tend to have, especially the Marvel Cinematic Universe being the biggest offender of that, upon the CW as well. And they can kind of just keep it as a background thing, like people will know it's there, but it won't be shoved down your throat, and it'll be kind of like, oh yeah, he's gay, that's cool, man, like it's nice to have that, but you know, I don't want it always be like, oh, this character because he's gay, you know, right? So or they can go the route that I just mentioned, where they shove it down your throat and they're like, this character has to be like because he's gay, otherwise you're a bigot, you're homophobic, blah 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 blah, this and that, you know, the usual shtick these people like to do when it comes to certain things, especially the MCU, where they'll call you a bigot, a woman hater, a racist, a homophobe if you don't like the direction Marvel is going past phase 3. So yeah. Next quote is another Sarah Michelle Gellar one. She said, when Jeff speaks the stories he wants to tell are stories I haven't gotten a chance to tell. Streaming is still the wild, wild west, and it's an untouched part I haven't been able to do. So it's pretty much Sarah telling everybody that she's excited to do streaming because it's an avenue she's never done before, and it's something she's always wanted to explore, which I think is pretty interesting in my honest opinion. Now, the next quote is another one from Jeff Davis, and he says, in quote, it's a joy to work with both new actors and veteran actors. I love working with new actors, but what I always fear when I work with veteran actors is that not only are they actors but celebrities, but Rodrigo and Sarah are amazing, which are obviously the two adult characters we know about from Wolfpack, played by, I forgot his first name, or is his first name? I think his first name is Rodrigo, played by Rodrigo and Sarah Michelle Gellar. I think his last name is Rodrigo Santiago. I might have that wrong. You guys can correct me in the comments, obviously. But yeah, that is the end of those quotes. Okay, so the next quote we have here is another one from Jeff Davis. So it's basically him telling people that he wasn't expecting to do another series similar to Teen Wolf, but here he is. In quote, he says, I didn't expect to be doing another series about teenage werewolves so soon, but with this cast and this story, I'm excited. You know, Jeff introducing his Wolfpack series during the interview. The next quote is from Sarah Michelle Gellar again. In quote, I read the script and it was the first time my interest was so piqued and I had no idea where it was going. And that's Sarah basically telling people on why she's returning to the horror genre with Wolfpack and why she decided to hop on the series when Jeff pitched it to her at first. The next quote is from Sarah Michelle Gellar again, and in quote says, when I read the script and spoke to Jeff, we talked about the issues we wanted to talk about with anxiety and depression with children. What a great way to use those horrors as an allegory for the horrors in high school, which I think is really interesting and is something I really haven't seen in a lot of these horror type like TV shows. I think the Vampire Diaries might have been the closest one with Elena in season 1 dealing with her parents' death, but other than that, I haven't really seen it that much. So pretty interesting route that Jeff is going to go down. Okay, so this is the first official quote we have from the main character, who is played by Armani Jackson. I'll put the actors up on screen for all the new actors that you guys might not be aware of. So actually, I'll put all the actors up on screen. Why not? So yeah, Armani Jackson, he plays the main character, Everett Lane, who is a teenage boy and lives with anxiety. His parents are quite doubtful of his anxiety problems, but one day he gets bitten during a wildfire, and from there gains a new sense of self and family, which is a pretty cool backstory and pretty simple synopsis of his character without spoiling too much. So yeah, pretty cool. Next is Bella Shepherd, who's playing the main female character. Her character's name is Blake. In quote, she says, at the beginning of the series, she starts off as a wallflower, and after being bit by a werewolf on a freeway, she gains more confidence in herself and trust in the people that are around her, and she finds that they work better as a team, which is also pretty cool. Pretty high on that as well. The next character is the one played by, I think, Chloe Rose Roberts, or is it Chloe Rose Robertson? You guys will probably correct me in the comments too, but she plays a character named Luna. So yes, her character Luna plays the resilient, hopeful, and she is always one of the pack and friends that understand her, and she really loves the people that come into her life quickly, which will ultimately bring a change in her, we can see later on in the season. Pretty cool synopsis as well. I'm really liking all of these. The way these sounds pretty interesting. So yeah, definitely interested for sure. The last one is, of course, Tyler Lawrence Gray, who I mentioned before, who plays the character Harlan. And he's an adrenaline junkie who is the irresponsible one in the group. He has a lot of anger and rage and tends to take it out on his friends in the show, which you will see. His is probably the most spoiler-free synopsis, which, you know, I can appreciate, because I don't really want to know that much before going in, because I don't know much about the series at all. I would kind of like to go in blind, so kind of like how I did with Teen Wolf. And then we have another quote from Sarah Michelle Gellar. She says, in this world right now, we're all looking for our path, and we're looking to be seen and heard and to be ourselves, truly finding our pack. A nice quote from her. And then this is Sarah Michelle Gellar talking about her character in the show, whose name is Kristen Ramsey. So she says, while she is a tough person to crack, she doesn't give too much away. There's a real reason why she is there. Probably the most spoiler-free synopsis you can get, of course, from the wonderful Sarah Michelle Gellar. And then we have the final quote here from the last main character that we know was announced, who is being played by Rodrigo Santoro. Finally got his last name right. So yeah, whose character's name is Garrett Briggs. So in quote, he says, this is a man of strong values and has dark secrets and deep suspicions with anyone in relation with his kids. He is a protector. So again, another spoiler-free quote and synopsis for his character. Very much appreciate that. So, and then we have this final quote from Jeff Davis that kind of confirms everything we've been saying, I've been saying, Teen Wolf News has been saying. Pretty much, I would actually say only the both of us have been saying for the last couple of, no, not even that, pretty much since the beginning of the year. So yeah, Jeff Davis says in quote, and this is official confirmation. I had some assholes in my comments telling me, you don't do your research, you don't know how to research, do better research, don't tell me how to do my job, piss off. I know what I'm doing. I've been at this stuff for 5 years. So just let the professionals and the people who know what they're doing in this YouTube space do what they do. Stay in your lane. So Jeff Davis says in quote, Teen Wolf is very much a comic book world. This show is not a spin-off of Teen Wolf. It's an entirely new world, an entirely new mythology, which gives me so much relief, because it was kind of looking like they were going to use the same werewolf prosthetics as Teen Wolf in a couple of the behind the scenes. And I was like, I hope to God that they don't. Please separate the two verses. I don't want the werewolves looking the same. And this is official confirmation from Jeff Davis that they are going to be two completely different universes, entirely not connected to one another at all. So yeah, officially announced from Jeff himself once again, Wolfpack is not a Teen Wolf spinoff. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video, and pretty much going over the quotes from the Wolfpack interview with Jeff Davis, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and the rest of the cast. from September 21st. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as mentioned at the beginning of this video. Make sure you guys enjoy the rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will catch you guys in the next Wolfpack related video. Peace.